Happy Monday! Good morning, everybody. Hope you have had a wonderful, well-rested and beautifully recharging weekend. Today, what I wanted to talk to you about is just about something that has been raised numerous times over the years. Good morning, Joe. About, is this whole thing really worth it? You know, is it really worth? Is our businesses, is our success, is what we really want to create, is it all worth it? Is it worth the time, the money, the energy, the angst, the drama, like all of this stuff? Is it really worth doing all of this to create what it is that we want? Well, to me, the answer, of course, is yes. But I wanted to talk with you guys about today a bit about the reality around running your own business, building your own consulting practice, doing whatever it is that you want to do. Now, one of the things that we cannot ignore these days is social media, right? We cannot ignore social media if everyone is on social media. Now, one of the big things that I researched while I was writing the book, something like, I think, I haven't got the stats at my fingertips. I think around 78% of people have their decision to buy from a company influenced based on their social media profile. So 78% are swayed by what they see on a company's or an organization or an entrepreneur's social media feed. So if you're completely committed to growing your business, then, heck, you kind of have to be on there. The downside to this, let's call a spade a spade. The downside, good morning, Joe. The downside to this for you is that you have to put the time in to creating content, to posting, to being engaging, to doing all the stuff that's associated with building up a social media presence. The reality of that's a little bit better. The reality of that is that it takes time. It takes you time to come up with the ideas for content. It takes you time to get in and schedule the posts. It takes you time to engage and talk to people and respond to messages and to do all of that. It is not a quick pill, magic pill. It is not a silver bullet. It takes time. Now, the thing that you've got to weigh up is it worth the time investment to go and put the effort in? To me, the answer is yes. It's a no-brainer. 78% of people have their decisions influenced by what they see on your profile. So, it kind of goes without saying. The other reality of it is that it's not just enough to have a good social media presence. You've also got to have another way of connecting and engaging with people outside of social media, right? Not everybody sees your Facebook posts. Not everybody sees your videos. Not everyone sees your lives. Again, the reality is that people are busy. I was looking for my phone. We're talking on it. One of the things that they'll do is they'll look at their phones, they'll scroll through their feeds, and then they'll go check their mailbox, their inbox. And you've got the ability to also capture, talk, engage, build relationships with people through your email database as well. Now, that kind of makes sense, right? The downside to that is that it takes time. It takes time to sit and write your emails. It takes time to schedule them out in advance. It takes time to go find the data or the research or the words or the topic or the conversation that you want to have. It takes time. If you want to have a way of being able to grow that email list, grow the database, then we need to get some lead generation happening. Whether you are in a bricks and mortar business, you might have a physiotherapist practice, for example. You've got to have a way of getting those clients into you. Now, you've got some choices. You can spend the time on building relationships with people. You can build referral networks. You can go to networking events. You can go to industry conferences. You can go to other expos where you know your people are going to be. That takes time, right? It takes time and money. The difference is, for a lot of those other businesses that tend to build up in person, is that they don't have their computers out and they're not spending their time, doing that. They're choosing to go and spend their time going to conferences and things like that. If you look at the reality of it, the time that it takes you to learn the technology, to learn how to build your content, to learn how to blog, to learn how to email, you know what? It is a long time. It might be an 8-week intense learning period, right? To me, that feels like a long time by comparison to maybe going and spending a day at an expo. But let's look at it let's look at the reality. If you're going to go to an expo, you need to spend time, again, finding the things that you're going to put in the stand. You've got to do the graphic design. You've got to have things to give away. You've got to have a way of collecting their information. You've got to have a stand. You've got to be on for the entire time that you are on that stand, right? So you still have a whole bunch of time that you've got to put in. You've still got to follow them up. Otherwise, you've just wasted your time. So to me, it's kind of like, I know it can feel really irritating and annoying learning how to write copy, learning how to do Facebook Lives, learning how to send your emails in your list and spending all of that, that time investment, building up the infrastructure. But that's the key. When you spend the time on building the infrastructure and having some of it automated, it means that you can use that same information in multiple places. So it's actually more efficient to start using digital marketing and like learning social media and learning your emails and things like that. I know it can feel frustrating when you're not getting necessarily all the time that immediate gratification or that immediate validation, like what you might do if you go to an expo, for example. I mean, I worked for a client who had an expo stand at the Australian HR Industry Expo, the biggest HR expo in Australia a few weeks ago. And oh my God, the time, the energy that it took for being on that stand and being engaging and talking and creating conversations and generating the leads essentially was huge, right? And then we've still got to do work following that in order to leverage off those connections that got made. So I think the big question that everybody needs to consider, if you're in startup mode, if you're already got a successful business and you're starting to look at digital, the question that you've got to ask yourself is not, is it worth it? Because the payoff is there. It is, are you willing to invest the time and the energy into building this up? And you've got to have a really honest conversation with yourself. If you're not willing to do that, then you've got to have another way of finding leads. Or if you're in startup mode, then you've got to have another way of going and finding clients. And if you're in startup mode, perhaps the reality question is, are you willing to do this amount of work? Or do you need to go and find a job and continue working for someone else, or go find somebody else to work for? Because this stuff ain't easy. It is time consuming, it can be simple, but it requires a constant effort. So I see so many people get really frustrated, and I mean, it's understandable. And I see so many people get frustrated because things aren't working as fast as what they want. But long-term sustainable organizations aren't built overnight. They're not built in 6 months, right? It requires a lot of manpower, a lot of energy, a lot of building, a lot of going, a lot of doing, a lot of networking, a lot of learning in order to get those organizations moving. And when you're one person, you're kind of like, you're juggling all the balls, right? You're spinning all the plates. You're doing the social media, you're doing the posting, you're doing the coaching, you're doing the hands-on, you're doing the facilitating, you're doing the healing, you're doing the training, you're doing all of those things. Everything is on you. So on this Monday, it is, I don't know what date, I don't know, the 23rd of September or the 24th of September or the 25th of September, whatever the heck day it is. We've got only 3 months left to the end of the year. And if you want next year to start in the way that you really want, with a big boot of momentum, without any time lag, the work that you put in right now is going to pay off for you most likely in the first quarter of next year. So as you're looking at this week, My ask of you is to sit down and go, all right, what am I prepared to do? What am I committed to doing? What action steps am I willing to take in order to set next year up really, really well? And look at those activities that are necessary, that are worth it. The big thing I think that I want to leave you with after this little rant today is that this world of entrepreneurialism has been painted as and depicted over the years as like a unicorn, right? It looks really pretty, it looks really amazing, it's really colorful, it looks like it would be lovely to touch. But the reality of it is that you guys don't see the amount of hours that gets put in behind the scenes. You don't see the meltdowns, the wins, the losses, the failures, the ad campaigns that don't work, the testing and the measuring. You guys don't see that for the most part from most people who are marketing to you, right? We've been sold the dream, which is really lovely. But the reality is, even if you know, the great Australian dream is to own a house and have a nice block of land and have 2.3 kids and the picket fence. But they don't talk about the fact that you have to clean the toilets. They don't talk about the lawn mowing. They don't talk about you might need to jump into the pool and, you know, scrub the floor out. They don't talk about the chemicals that often get used. They paint the pretty picture. They paint the lifestyle. So please just bear in mind that, holy shit, yes, it is worth it. The freedom, the choice is worth it. But hear me, it is not freedom to just do what the heck you like every day and have millions of dollars, thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars pouring into your bank account without any effort. It doesn't work that way. So make your choices and your decisions around, are you willing to do what's necessary? Because otherwise you are likely to fall into the 97% of businesses that do not make it past the first 2 years. And I really think that that is devastating, because the world needs you. They need to see you. They need your help. They need your way of doing things. So be prepared for some hard work. Have lots of energy things around you to keep you going, like your crystals and your butter coffees and your support mechanisms, your support team. But just know that it is hard work. It is also necessary, and it is also a heck of a lot of fun. All right? So that's me for your Monday morning. A little less softly today and a little more ranty, but get out there and do it. The world needs you. That's really what I have to say about that. So work out what you're going to do this week to really step it up and get yourself out there. Tomorrow, we are talking about branding in our Becoming Professionally Famous show tomorrow at 11 a.m. Sydney time. You're welcome, Judith. Thanks, Jason. We're going to be talking about logos and photos, and do you need professional images, and do you need a pretty website and all that kind of guff. So come and join us tomorrow at 11. I'll see you guys later on through the week if you can't make it, but get out there, make it happen, and just have your eyes wide open. And if you think that people are spinning your shit, that it's all lollipops and sunshine and unicorns, and maybe just look a little closer and ask them some questions to share the reality of what's really going on. All right, guys, take care, have a great day, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.